Hello and welcome to the very first online edition of Big Data Week Bucharest Conference. Thank you all for choosing to spend this afternoon with us. We hope you enjoy the content we have prepared for you. I'm Cristina Beldi, a marketing manager at BigStep, and I will be your host today here in the business track. Acting as a liaison between you and our speakers, I will make sure all your questions will get answered. Before we get started, I would like to extend a warm thank you to all our speakers and partners for the day in the name of the presenting companies of the event, BigStep and eSolutions. I want to thank our partners, Microsoft, Cognizant Vision, ING Tech, Trend Cadiz, Google Cloud, Metalsoft, Bucharest AI, for helping us stage this edition and sharing valuable insights with our audience. I strongly encourage you to check out the Digital Expo during the breaks and discover the surprises we have prepared for you. Now, without further ado, let's get started. The opening presentation in the business track is brought to us by Dmytro Turchyn, Artificial Intelligence Lead for Central and Eastern Europe at Microsoft. Data and AI expert with 15 years of experience in IT, Dmytro will share with us today some key industry trends, real-life implementation cases, and practical learnings from AI projects. Welcome, Dmytro, and thank you for joining us today. The stage is now yours.
Thank you very much, Cristina. So without further introductions, I will probably switch to my presentation. So I will include sound as well, because we will have some sound effects. For some reason, I cannot present. Technical team, am I allowed as presenter? You should be able. So I will begin my presentation actually with this picture, which I found in my archives. And this is year 2013. And this young guy there is myself, already working in Microsoft. And we were holding this big data conference in Ukraine when we were presenting about some big data solutions at that time for Microsoft. And why I'm showing that about is to tell you about how I see the change which happened in these last years. For example, back in 2013, there was no AI hype. So nobody was talking AI. Everybody was talking just, big data, and this was the thing. But shortly after that, there were a lot of advancements, which we will talk about today, which came to the market. And when I think about those advancements, one of the things which comes to my mind is these breakthroughs which happened. And on this slide, I only have 4 years of the breakthrough innovation coming from Microsoft research. And of course, there are many more advancements happening. And if you are in this domain, you see how many things are coming every week. But only those things on the slide, like our AI systems, have reached object recognition human parity, then speech recognition human parity, machine reading, machine translation, and most recently, conversational advancements like answering Q&As or image captioning, which was actually announced probably 10 days ago when we reached with our system the human parity, so that the systems can now annotate images and say what is the scene on the image, what are the entities, and what are they doing on the image with the same or less errors as humans would do. Now, the beautiful thing about those innovations is, and I will not talk about all of them, but I will really highlight on the next slide some of the technologies which are being brought to the market today, which are the most, let's say, popular trends in the industry. And I'm not saying that these are the most popular trends. There are many things happening now with research, with fundamental research, with applied systems, but those are the ones I would like to highlight today, because those are the ones where I personally see a lot of interest, a lot of applications, and to me the biggest breakthrough is that those tools, those platforms become available for everyone. So the more and more applied scenarios are enabled by those systems. It's not theoretical anymore. And some of the technology trends which I will be talking about in the next couple of slides are language and speech processing, which since 2018 was completely reshaped, and I will have a couple of demos even for that. Autonomous systems, and when people think about autonomous system, they sometimes, of course, picture the autonomous car or some robot which is going by itself, but in fact, it's many applied scenarios with autonomous systems which help us teach machines to do things, and I will talk about this again in the next slide. Generative networks, or GANs, which have two sides to this trend. When one side is systems get more and more advanced, but at the same time there are a lot of concerns about how those generative networks will be used in a ethical way. Automated machine learning and network architecture search, a lot of advancement in that area, which is to me a very super logical development for the field, because if you are doing a data science or machine learning project, you would usually spend lots of time by cleaning the data, designing the feature, architecturing the features, designing your models, choosing the right models, right processes and approaches, how to fine-tune your parameters, or add some modifications to the models. So now, for the human, it's very hard to stay relevant, to know what is happening in this particular field, and to have this whole experience about what is the best model, the best approach. And here is AI's role is really to help find those right architectures, engineer those features, fine-tune those parameters, and give to the data scientist or to machine learning engineer something which is already either good for their task, for their production task, or maybe which is a good basis to already focus on some most promising models out there. And then the next thing, which sounds very simple, like low code or no code AI systems, but which to me is really opening a completely new dimension to AI systems. When it was usual natural approach, it's still in many cases natural approach that the companies who really think serious about machine learning and AI in their companies, in their organizations, they would think they need to build this data science, very deep practice. But in fact, there is a new dimension to this, when all the maybe technically advanced, but people who are analysts or people who are just developers who don't have deep data science expertise can now use those tools from the tools they use normally. And I will talk about that again in the next slides. Now on this slide, I'm showing you a couple of pictures. And what is special about those pictures, they show us two people, but what is special is those people don't exist. So I borrowed these two pictures actually from a very recent post of one of my contacts, Alexa Gordic, and I encourage you to go follow his posts. Sometimes some good things he's posting, and this was something he has created based on some generative adversarial networks out there, which you can just go, get the code, get the model, train it with, and he has given some parameters to the model, and the model has generated these new features, new faces which don't exist. And what's impressive to me, I was playing myself with some generative networks like half a year ago, and my results were far from this. So what is possible today is to build those faces myself. I cannot distinguish are those faces real or not. And another example, which you all probably see in these videos of famous people like presidents speaking the things they would never speak in real life, which were completely faked with the help of AI systems, which leads to the question, hey, one, the possibilities are really endless with generative networks. They are very good now, but now what is the consequences and how people will use it is a big question. And that's why there is another field in this generative networks domain, which is one is to create the beautiful fakes, another is how to distinguish real information from the fakes. And recently, for example, I have this screenshot here and a GIF from the announcement, which has happened pretty recently, I think a couple of months ago, when Microsoft released this deepfake detection tool. And of course, we understand that there is no one tool which will solve the problem. It is about the approaches, it is about the partnership. Ourselves in Microsoft, we work actually with different organizations. For example, we build a plugin which allows us to choose to check how trusted is the news we are reading. But this tool helps to look at the video and just say, probably it has been modified by AI or by some people as well. So, but it's probably a fake video. And this is one of the steps which people can take, is to build and use those tools to check the information. And maybe we will have the more integrated tools like that into the news we read, into the social network posts we read and we see, and which will help us really get the trusted information, because the problem is pretty big. Another thing which I wanted to share with you is advancement is speech and language processing. And to do that, I actually built and tried some of the examples, and I will show them to you. And I hope the sound will be working, by the way. So let me try that and tell me if you can hear the sound. Or if you cannot hear, please let me know.
Temperaturile maxime se vor încadra între 15 și 23 de grade Celsius.
So if the sound was not working, please tell me. But if it was, actually, this is the natural speech generation, which was released pretty long time ago for different languages. But for last week, actually 10 days ago, Microsoft has announced the availability for all the European languages support in those systems. And this is one of the languages, which is Romanian, which is now supported for both speech to text, when people say and the system can recognize the text, as well as text to speech, so that you can give the tool the text and it will generate the natural sounding speech to you. But this one was not particularly supernatural.
Temperaturile maxime se vor încadra între 15 și 23 de grade Celsius.
So I'm not good in Romanian, to be honest. I don't speak Romanian language, but to me it's still, I can say this was a machine, right? It was not a real person speaking. And when we look at some of the announcements again, which we made for, and it's not just Microsoft, there are models out there which allow this, but this is a pre-built tool which you can use in your applications with APIs. And I will show you now the next example, which is using the state-of-the-art neural networks to generate speech. And I was using this, I was giving it the same text. And by the way, here is the link on the slide. So I hope you will receive the slides after the presentation. You can try the link yourself and play with different languages and different text. But this is what is possible with the more advanced neural voices available already today for most of the European languages.
Temperaturile maxime se vor încadra între 15 și 23 de grade Celsius.
So for me, again, I don't speak Romanian. I tried it in the languages I speak, and it's amazing. Like I cannot distinguish if this person was speaking is a real person or was it an AI system. And again, all the concerns come in with this problem, because now the video we see and the face we see in the screen and the sound we hear in the screen with the specific voice of specific person doesn't guarantee this is that particular person. So these systems can definitely be used for good with many scenarios we see, but they can also be used for bad. So we are also very concerned, and we are part of many ethical discussions out there in the market about how to make sure that those tools are used in ethical ways, because the power is just huge there. Now, another example which I wanted to show you is called the natural language search, or search in the documents, which is enabled by natural language understanding. So one of the examples here is also recently released tool, which is called Connected Papers. And I hope you can see it on my screen, but what the demo is doing here, you can go by yourself, and this is connectedpapers.com. It's enabled by also our AI services. And what it does is when you type and I tried here, I typed actually some of the AI research paper, which is called Attention is All You Need, a very famous paper. And now it found some results by relevance, and I can even show it in a graph view. So this graph which tool is building is not just, so it finds many papers which are related to this topic and related by many means. It may be the same domain, same topic. It might be same authors, but many, or maybe just the content is very similar, or the thoughts in those papers are very similar. So here you can see that I could find the bird paper which was issued after this paper about attention is all you need, and now I can go to this paper. So again, all kinds of scenarios are enabled by those natural language processing capabilities. Another example is GPT-3. So again, if you're in this domain, you know
our API can also search across long pieces of text.
Of the sound here, but this is one of the demos from OpenAI site with GPT-3, which actually allows us to summarize text. And you can see that the lady here is just clicking on the Wikipedia and then asks a natural question, why is bread so fluffy? And in 48 paragraphs of text, the system can summarize it in a very concise way and give a very concise explanation why exactly the bread is fluffy. Super powerful models out there. And now, by the way, GPT-3 has been licensed exclusively for Microsoft Azure, so we'll see many applications coming out of that. By the way, if you are working in an organization which is interested in a large-scale natural language or speech processing projects, this is an announcement from September 23, so a little bit more than 10 days ago, but Microsoft is building the similar models to GPT-3, also transformer-based, attention-based models, which actually can be used for different tasks, not just generative tasks like GPT-3, but things like summarizing text, finding relevant documents in legal files, in whatever files you have, or even writing a response to email based on the topic and the knowledge. So if you're interested, please follow the link or just reach out to me personally, and we will try to help your organization if the project qualifies for the partnership in this area, because we want to work with the customers now on those large projects. And we do actually in our region even, we work now with some of the even countries to build some very large models based on those models. Now, AI in healthcare is something I'm super passionate about. And for example, this screenshot with AstraZeneca using the models in PyTorch and Azure Machine Learning to discover new drugs. So what they do is actually they also put the knowledge, research knowledge they have in a knowledge graph, and then search what will be or predict what will be the best candidates for the new drugs based on that knowledge. Another example from AI is healthcare, and I'm sharing many recent announcements. For some reason, last 2 months were super rich for announcements, and this is the project InnerEye, which is the project for analyzing 2D or 3D medical images. And this project was live for a couple of years, probably. We have the implementation, for example, in a General University Hospital in Prague, but now it has been open sourced. So again, all the medical images processing using the state-of-the-art deep learning approaches is out there. I posted the link here so that if you're interested in medical images processing, you can also get into this open source directory and use it for yourself. Now back to autonomous systems, and I will just, I don't have too much time today, but I will just give one example. So I told you it's not just about the cars, right? And one of the examples is the project Bonsai, which is the system to train the reinforcement learning models or autonomous systems models with some examples and what we call machine teaching, so that we can give explanation to the system what we want to achieve, and then all the heavy lifting about the built-in reinforcement model will be handled by the system. And one of the applications here is for our own climate control systems in Microsoft in Redmond. We use now this Bonsai system to predict the best climate program for this day based on the weather, on how many people come on Tuesday on this time. And by the time the employees go to the office now, the temperature is exactly what we want it to be. So it's more comfort. but also we can save up to 15% of energy only on those optimizations for the climate control systems. Now with Microsoft, when we talk about AI, we talk about different things, but it's all about three pillars. We want innovation to be meaningful. We want it not just to be innovation for innovation, but we want it to be applied. Our goal is to empower people. So we don't just give it to some specialists. Of course, there are tools and platforms for deep specialists, deep data scientists, researchers as well. But we want to empower broader organizations and people out there who can use those tools. And third one is we want it to be used in a responsible way. There are examples now in our region, even when we canceled the project just because we didn't trust the use will be responsible. Now let me start with empowering people, and this is one of the examples of the tools which we have out there. And why I'm showing it, because there are many tools from Microsoft, from other vendors, but this is one of the examples how you can build an app, and you, I mean, not just a data scientist or a very deep developer, but any user with a click-through environment like AI Builder. So this is a Power Apps platform, and you can today use this platform to build models in a way which I will be showing you. Like you just say my scenario is object detection, and there are other like classification, etc. But for object detection, for example, you load the data sets from, for example, from your device in this case. Then you choose which pictures you want to use to identify objects. And you mark the objects by your mouse, for example. So you mark them, you say, here is this particular water on the shelf, and you do it with the rest of the images. And the system on the go will start suggesting the predictions, and you can modify them and just say, okay. And in the end, you can reach, like in this example, 90% accuracy with a pretty low amount of images. And then you can transfer this into mobile app and with a couple of clicks deploy it so that on your mobile devices you can start using these systems in production. And this is not a toy anymore. So we have this is based on the same powerful Azure AI APIs. For example, this custom vision is used by many manufacturers in the real life scenarios to analyze the production of the parts and find the faulty parts, etc. on their production lines. So today this is available not just for this, heavy experts, but also for people who can just create those tools by themselves in organizations. Another example is AI in Power BI. So if you're an analyst working with the data analysis, analytics, you can actually build your ML models right from within Power BI. So there are many options here. Again, we don't have much time, but from sentiment analysis or just visualizing how the decisions were made by your models to predictions and classification problems right from within Power BI with your data is possible today. And this couple of last slides I've just showed was about the Power Platform, which we believe is one of the steps to get and solve this problem. Like our world today, our business today is run by software, and we want more people to be able to build that software, not just in Power BI or Power Apps, but also in things like chatbots, designers in Power Virtual Agents, or automate and do RPA kind of projects with Power Automate. Now talking about our platform, because I'm representing Microsoft here and I wanted to show you what we have for you to use AI in your organizations. And the core of the Azure AI is of course Azure, which is the most advanced cloud out there in the market with 61 regions, a lot of compliance offerings. And the core offering here for the data science, for machine learning operations, for building end-to-end machine learning projects is Azure Machine Learning. On top of that, we have some cognitive services, which we will talk about a little bit today as well. And on top of that, we have some domain-specific or scenario-specific services like bot service or forms recognizer, which I will show today. And on highest level, there is this interfaces, I would say, which allow us to represent and to use those APIs or those models you build with machine learning in external or end user facing level, which is Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automation, or actually any application out there which can use those services built in Azure Machine Learning or in a pre-built cognitive services. I will stay just a couple of minutes on a cognitive services offering because this is a pretty broad set of services we have out there. And when I started with my 2013 slide, I was saying that AI was not a thing at that time. Actually, in 2015 was the first effort when our Microsoft Research said, why don't we package the things we already built in Microsoft Research and give it to people as an API? So you don't need to recreate this face recognition every time you need to do it, but you can just call it and get your results out right from this service. And that's how we built these many cognitive services. Some of them are very new, some of them less recent. But if you're more interested, I will share in the end some link where you can read more. But there are many services for vision, speech, language, and decision, and web search, which you can use in your applications without even need to create those models, but just by using them. Couple of specific services in cognitive services which I wanted to share with you and which are very recent. One of them is Forms Recognizer. So this became GA, I believe, globally available, I believe, just months ago. And what it does, it allows you to get as little as 5 forms without even marking where the fields are and process them and extract information from those forms into specific fields. So this may be any kind of form. And now what has been added recently is you can even adjust that. So if the form doesn't give you exactly the field you were searching, like, I don't know, the price or VAT, if it's still not correct, you can give it feedback and say, no, this is the field, and it will learn more. And we have a lot of applications now, starting from the governments who process forms of the citizens, ending with organization processing PDFs, invoices, etc. Very shortly on AI updates, last week, 10 days ago actually, we had the event called Microsoft Ignite. This is a huge event for our developer and technical community. And we announced some of the very important advancements to our AI services. One of them is Metrics Advisor, which is a development of the service called Anomaly Detector, which allows you to, in time series, to find some different events, like something wrong happened. Maybe this was a credit card fraud or something else, as well as analyze why it happened. So what influenced the decision that this was particular fraud or this was particular anomaly? Another one is spatial analysis, and I will show it in a second. And another one is a super important one when we had machine learning service previously in different user licenses. So now even in basic licenses, you get all the power of Azure Machine Learning, including the designer, automated ML, and again, all the things with experiments tracking and recording, etc. So this is, as I promised, one of the things which was just announced, which is called Azure Spatial Analysis, a very popular scenario today. So what it can do, it can track how many people are in the stores, what are their coordinates, how they move. It can also look at the social distancing metrics. And you can see here the system identifies that those people are closed. They are like lower than thresholds which you've set. And it shows which exactly are those objects, people which are close to each other. And the beautiful thing is also it's depersonalized. So it says like person object with this number, but not particular person. So it also solves for this problem of whether people want to really be recognized. And another part of the spatial analysis is ability to look, for example, at the queues and analyze how long people spend in the queues. So here you mark the area and you say, you count when the person enters this area and when the person leaves this area. So you can say this person spent like 39 seconds in this queue or 5 minutes, which helps also manage different social distances aspects. So this is in preview today. You can try it yourself. And if you have a project like that, again, come to Microsoft, we'll help you work on that. Now let me switch with the probably last couple of slides. One of them is about Azure Machine Learning. If you're a deeper expert, like a data scientist, or you really work with Jupyter notebooks, with the GPUs, Azure Machine Learning is the best probably platform out there, which allows you to build end-to-end machine learning projects, from data cleaning, data transformation, to features engineering, to monitoring your experiences, recording the results of your experience, looking at the data drift. It has also the ability, if you're not a data scientist, to work in a drag and drop designer or use automated machine learning to propose a model for you. Or it can actually also help you deploy those models right with a couple of clicks right from the Azure Machine Learning workspace. And I will show you just a couple of examples. One is EPS Serbia, a pretty fresh case from our region, because I'm responsible for Central and Eastern Europe. And this is one of our customers. What they did is they built this predictive solution, which predicts how much energy will be consumed, which allows them to forecast the consumption with 1.7% error. So very, very accurately. Before it was up to 15% when people were forecasting that. And for them, when they predict it correctly, they can buy energy with the better price. So direct impact to their cost. And what's beautiful about that is that they were able to use this Azure Machine Learning solution to really help to do it without a very deep data science knowledge.
Dmytro,
another example is...
I wanted to stop you for the moment. I didn't stop you to put all the questions we have, because your presentation is amazing, but we are at the end of this session, and I want to thank you all. Thank you all, Dmytro, for the presentation. Thank you all for joining. We will close this session now, and we invite you to join our next one. Please don't forget that each session is broadcasted independently, so make sure you check the live session tab for the following one. Thank you.
Thank you very much.